A prominent governor of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC yesterday said division has continued to plague the party over the zoning formula that was made public last week. Some of them argue that the list was sprung on them and the party never adopted it before it was announced. They have therefore argued that it could not stand, thus dismissing the zoning arrangement in circulation as mere suggestion. They also argue that it was not governors who should announce zoning of party offices, that it should be the function of the party and not governors. However, while they have agreed that the next chairman of the APC should come from the north and the party's presidential candidate from the southern part of the country, its leaders, mostly governors, were not comfortable with the zoning formula for other positions in the party. This day learned yesterday. It is the issue of the deputy chairman and others that are dealing with. Under the current arrangement, they want to retain John James Akpanu-Dedehe as secretary, Ken Unamani as deputy chairman, and make Farouk Aliyu deputy chairman North, which is where the conflict is because the Northwest governors don't want him to be the deputy chairman, the source explained yesterday. The acting chairman of the caretaker and extraordinary National Convention Planning Committee (CECPC) of the party, Mai Malaberni, was expected to come up with a zoning arrangement of offices across board to deliberate upon and perhaps adopt, but that is yet to happen. But with the release of the INEC timetable, which has left little room for any further machination, there is renewed energy to get things done quickly. Between the March 26th date for the party's convention and beginning of primary section on April 4th. According to INEC timetable released on Saturday, there is no enough time for the expected new National Working Committee members of the party to prepare for the primaries. However, APC governors would be meeting tomorrow, and their meeting is not to be unconnected to the election timetable recently released by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the unusual duration between primaries and the general election. The governors are also likely to deliberate on the contentious zoning list that is receiving a lot of pushback from the party stakeholders. According to this day's source with knowledge of the happenings in APC, who preferred anonymity, the division in the party was telling, adding that some three governors from the north had usurped the powers of the CECPC. He said what was widely circulated as zoning formula was no more than a proposal by some elements in the party, which was yet to be approved by the caretaker and extraordinary National Convention Planning Committee (CECPC) of the APC. The source claimed that contrary to the impression being created by those promulgating an official zoning formula, it was just an idea mooted by some people and sold to the party leadership. He contended that the zoning arrangement had not undergone proper review by critical stakeholders, let alone getting the approval of the APC leadership led by Bernie. According to the source, who was not pleased with some of the recent happenings in the party, the three governors also from the north have literally seized the powers of the caretaker committee and were driving the affairs of the party, thereby undermining Bernie for obvious self-interest. The source said some of the meetings of the party leadership last week agreed on a new convention date, adding that President Muhammadu Buhari might have settled for a former governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Adamu from North Central, as the consensus choice for national chairman. The source thus noted that the next president of the country would come from the south for the purpose of geopolitical and ethnic balancing, stressing that anything short of this basic understanding could spell doom for the party. These, nonetheless, the APC last night named the Deputy Senate President Ovioma Agege, Mai Malaberni, Prince Dakpo Abiodun, Abdulrazak Abdulrahman, Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Cross River State, Ben Ayade, as chairman of the National Convention Subcommittee, amongst others, ahead of the party's convention slated for March 26th. But in further explaining the involvement of his three northern colleagues in issues relating to the National Convention, the source said, Boni has never taken any decision without consulting Buhari, whom he said was chairman of the National Executive Council (NEC) of the party. The three governors, he claimed, had been railroading the party's leadership into taking many decisions without consulting other members. He contended that this did not augur well for the APC as these actions had been mostly driven by personal ambition rather than the overall interest of the party. The governor said, obviously, a few governors are trying to usurp the powers of the party. For instance, the postponement of the National Convention and the zoning list announced to the press. The governors and other stakeholders of the party never discussed or agreed on it. We just heard it in the media. As far as some of us are concerned, that zoning list making the rounds is only a proposal by those few governors. The party may well adopt it or may set up a zoning committee, which to some of us is the right thing to do. The ideal thing was for us to have set up a zoning committee that would agree on the zones to allocate the party positions to. So by announcing a list that was not agreed on as the party's position was more like an imposition. No decision was taken. The president only said all he wanted was to make sure we have a consensus. No decision. And they just went and organized a press conference with a zoning list. The proper thing is for the party to have a zoning committee that would consult and arrive at the zoning formula. Even if they are going to arrive at the same answer, they must be seen to have consulted with members of the party. That is very important so that a party is not seen as a party in confusion, like the People's Democratic Party (PDP) would like to make Nigerians believe. There was a meeting to announce the postponement of the convention, and some governors were unhappy that the convention was being postponed and they were not aware, and that really got the governors upset. The governors also disclosed that based on the decision to zone the APC national chairman to the north, the party's presidential candidate must come from the south. In his words, the presidential candidate is going to come from the south and is likely going to be a Christian president candidate. You cannot have the chairman of the party to be a Muslim and a presidential candidate a Muslim. It is not possible. And if the presidential candidate is a Christian, the vice is going to be a Muslim from the north. Invariably, you cannot have a Christian vice president from the north when the presidential candidate is a Christian. The source who further buttressed his position with the setting up of zoning committee by the party contended that he had been vindicated by that development, adding that the route earlier taken was synonymous with placing the cart before the horse. While condemning the activities of the three northern governors, he said, the Boni-led committee should be commended for the stability it brought to the party. He claimed that a lot of the APC governors were happy with Boni because of how he's been able to resolve the dispute in the APC states without undermining the governors. He stressed. But some have remained antagonistic and have been scheming to have their way, obviously, because of their self-political interests and despite benefiting immensely from Boni's decision to recognize the ESCOs. The truth is that Boni didn't betray the governors because this same man, if not for him, most of the governors would not have had their ESCOs as the recognized party structures in the state. He made sure every governor got what he wanted, which is unprecedented. The governors would have been battling with their contenders or the former governors in their states. But Boni made it favorable for the governors by making sure that the right from the ward to the state ESCO levels, the governors have those they wanted in charge. This same man was also able to bring in the Zamfara, Ebonyi, and Cross River governors to the party. So, Boni has helped in stabilizing the party. That is why when some persons are accusing him of misconduct and were making noise, the man said he would resign if they continued the noise, and everybody calmed down. APC had earlier fixed February 26 for its national convention before it was rescheduled last week after a meeting of the party's governors with Buhari. At the meeting, the party also agreed to zone the national chairmanship position to the North Central, while the North would swap other party positions with the South as obtained in the Adams Oshomole National Working Committee (NWC).